Anyway, terracing is.
Always got
Open
the
determination.
We don't have 3 meetings, we don't believe in them.
Okay, and we're live.
Yeah.
We're live. No swearing. No swearing. Welcome to the meeting of the Planning Committee, the 12th of March. It is the 12th of March. I was making sure for the right one. Agenda item number 1. Actually, no, there's members of the public. Just in case there's a fire alarm, we will leave over that way and we will help Ken out. Agenda item number 2. Sorry, agenda number, apologies for absence. No apologies. No, everybody's here. All here. This is the first time for a while. Declarations of interest. Anybody? I see no. Agenda item number 3. Approve the minutes of the Planning Committee from the 20th of February. Opposed, Councillor Plant. Second, Councillor Jackson. Are you?
All those in favour?
Oh, I was waiting for you to read it out. All in favour? Agenda item number 3.2, receive and consider the draft notes of climate emergency working group 2030. Yes.
There are a couple of recommendations for the committee to consider on page 10 of the agenda. This is money from the CWG budget. Minute 151 and minute 152.
That is the 15152, so the £500 for the drone and up to £2,500.
Yep.
Is this covered in the budget? Of their
Yes,
budget?
yeah.
That's covered in their budget.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds like great. Yes.
yeah. Oh, there we go. That's for both, and that's including the grant for £2,000 to Badmore.
That one, finance.
Yeah, that one covered.
Yep.
Seconded, yeah. All in favour? Number 3, consider the draft notes of the Transport Strategy Group. Have we seen these?
Yep.
Yeah. We were nothing there. Resolved to request funds for further traffic counts.
Yep.
Okay, all in favour? Thanks, noted. Agenda item number 4, public participation. Would you like to speak?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Right, I'm Suzanne Scott from SMS Planning. I'm the applicant planning consultant on 35 Dane Gardens. Thank you for allowing me to speak again this evening. The last planning committee meeting at the council, you felt that you couldn't support the application. You found it to be out of character with the area, resulting in a terracing effect and overdevelopment. You also felt that the neighbourhood turned neighbouring property into a semi-detached dwelling. So listening to your feedback and also the chair's affirmation that you would only support applications for first floor additions which are in line with existing approvals has led us to amend the application that's before you this evening. To ensure compatibility with the existing character of the area, the first floor extension no longer abuts 36 Dane Gardens. So to avoid the creation of a semi-detached dwelling, there's now a 900mm gap proposed between 35 and 36 Dane Gardens. This matches the first floor gap between 31 and 32 Dane Gardens. From a depth perspective, the proposals are also comparable to the October 2023 approval at 17 Dane Gardens. The case officer is satisfied that these changes avoid the creation of a terracing effect and bring the application in line with the existing approvals, and hence that the proposals are in keeping with the character of Dane Gardens. An additional parking space has also been included to the front of number 35 to address the second refusal reason under the previous application. The case officer has confirmed that she's supportive of the amended proposal, and we would very much appreciate the town council's support too. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you very much. Agenda item number 5, plans amended. 265 Grade Road.
You recommend
Yes.
approval, so I don't have a comment.
Okay. So we recommended approval last time, amended it to
It's minor.
minor amendments. So really,
Propose approval again now.
approval, anybody else? seconded. Like to speak? Anybody else like to speak? No, got a vote for approval. On favour. It's approved. And then 35 Damon Gardens, first row extension, as per what you've just spoken about. Councillor Plant.
I was
Sorry.
So, yeah, last time we refused it on terracing and overdevelopment. The planning officer is dealing with it. It's confirmed that there would be a gap as referenced by the public participation between the first floor of the property and the attached neighbour of 900 millimetres, and the provision of 2 parking spaces at the front of the dwelling. And already mentioned that it's similar to the approval in 17. Thank you.
Be fair to speak to it. Proposal, Councillor Plant.
I think I think commending on coming back with an amended plan rather than just resubmitting again. I think they've gone far enough to appease our thoughts last time. I know it's a controversial point, it led to a good discussion last time. I do believe they've gone a large way to amend those, and even Mr. Chalker himself at 36, who disagreed to it. You can see from his comment online that although he still thinks the gap is a little bit less than he'd want it to be, he even agrees that it's in line with 17 and will most likely go ahead. On that basis, I see no grounds to do anything other than recommend approval.
Anybody else want to second it? So Jackson, would anybody care to speak to this? No. The proposal for approval, seconded by Councillor Jackson, vote, all in favour? All right. Okay. Agenda item number 6, plans new 13 Station Road.
So yeah, this is a retrospective application. The shopfront design guide refers to illumination being sensitively lit and well designed, and the source of lighting being low key and discreetly positioned. This unit is in the conservation area, and that should be adhered to those practices.
So on the basis of what they're putting forward, this doesn't adhere to the practices.
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
Do we have any policies?
The shopfront. Yeah, the design guide. Yeah.
Right now.
Councillor Plant.
Recommend refusal because after keeping with the area and not adherence with the shopfront pack.
Seconded.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? Because we want to support businesses. We really want to support businesses as a council. But unfortunately, you approve one, and then before you know it, you've got illuminated signs all over Henley. And, you know, we've got a huge conservation area. So reluctant refusal, yeah.
Residential area.
Is the design guide really clear enough to help these people? Because they shouldn't be making mistakes
Yes, if you
if
read it.
it's well written.
They probably haven't even consulted it. They probably don't know it
Sure,
exists.
that's why we're retrospective. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very little unit inside the window
Yeah.
rather than actually on the
Yeah.
fascia. on the-
It's surrounded by residential anyway, though, which is just,
We have a proposer and a seconder. All in favour of refusal on the grounds that this will get the shop front. Okay,
If we take those two together. Oh, no, sorry, that's great.
I actually it's different. So.
No, the other one's, the other one is Grays Road, same number.
13 Grays Road, installation of illuminated signage.
Again, my comments are quite similar to the last. It's not a conservation area. It should be sensitively lit and well designed, low key and discreetly positioned. It does show wall mounted in the plans. But it's not specifically clear what they're proposing. It doesn't show the lettering or anything in relation to the proposed lighting, so it needs more information to be conditioned at least.
So. Plant.
Recommend rejection on the same grounds basically, so out of keeping, okay, shopfront guide and also below clear.
Councillor Owens.
Yeah, second.
Seconded by Councillor Owens. Anybody else care to speak? All in favour of refusal, the same grounds. Old Bell House, Northfield End.
So there was no heritage objection. The heritage officer says that the removed finishes that are harmful to the historic fabric, so that to allow for conservation work to be undertaken. And they have requested a couple of conditions on that, but no objection.
Councillor Knox.
Approval subject to the conditions set out by the conservation officer.
Second by councillor Plant. Yep. Anybody else going to speak? All in favour of approval? 22 St Andrews Road.
Again, no heritage objection. It is within the Article 4 area. The officer considers that the new windows are of similar proportion and material as the existing. And thereby maintaining the appearance of the building, so they have no objection to that. Thank you.
Councillor Plant.
Oh, yeah, approval. I think it's nice to see wood being replaced with wood as well, which is very nice. So yeah, approval.
Second. Councillor Thomas. Anybody else going to speak? All in favour of approval? 3 Flower Cross.
This is just a single story rear extension proposing to connect to the existing garage. We have no objection.
Anybody care to?
Approval.
Seconded by councillor Rowlands. All in favour, anybody going to speak? All in favour? 19 Church Street, operations and refurb.
No comment. So haven't responded yet.
Councillor Plant.
Straightforward. approval.
Seconded, anybody else going to speak? Councillor Jackson, seconded by councillor Jackson.
We've added subject to the conservation officer.
Yeah, yeah. of
Yes.
course,
Do you mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heritage officer.
Just add them to all of them.
Well, I think there's something there, really.
So we have a proposer, seconder, all in favour? 52, 50 and 52 Grace Hill, replacement of interior of timber front doors.
Okay, it's good to see timber being used, no heritage objection.
Councillor,
Yeah, subject heritage.
second by councillor Rory.
I like the ring, I like the sound of that. Councillor Rory.
All in favour? 66 West Street.
Limited visibility of this property. It is within conservation area. It is matching materials, painted sash window and dormer to match existing. The alignment of the door is a bit odd on there. It's not central, but it's not going to be seen from around.
Councillor Thomas.
I just didn't like this at all. I can't even put it into it's perhaps Gavin can help me out here, but it's a good, solid, nice looking building. And this tiny little bit on the end kind of looks like an afterthought, and I just don't think it will blend in the conservation area, in my opinion. Yeah.
We may have a slightly different.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I didn't even know this building existed. It took me some time to find it. And but looking at the plans, one of the things that interested me is that normally in planning terms, if you have the main building and you're extending, the policy is you want it to be subservient to the main building.
Yeah.
Now they're adding to that building, and logically, I would have thought they'd say the same thing. It must be diminutive to the second addition to the first house.
Yeah.
I think the reality is the fact that they match the ridge height is actually the better way of doing it in this instance.
So smart.
And they've hit the edge, so they've sort of softened the corner of it. And there's another house beyond that, I think. When you approach it from the rear, from the driveway, you see there's another house slightly distant. So it is in the conservation area. I think it would have been worse to have had 3 different ridge heights.
Yeah.
So it makes it much more cohesive with the 2 extensions working as a body. Apologies.
No, I mean, I wasn't making a proposal, I was kind of just kind of discussing,
Yeah.
Think out.
setting up a
I mean,
discussion.
that's not, the massing, I think, is right. The massing is right for the situation. There's something odd about the displacement of doors and windows, absolutely.
Oh, so you fall 3 foot and you walked out the door. Be tough, otherwise. It's quite high.
Okay.
Approve.
Who's
Yeah, I think
proposing?
you're right.
Who's proposing? Proposer for approval?
Yeah, approval.
Yeah, who's seconded? Councillor Plant. Anybody else care to speak to it? So we have a proposer and a seconder. All in favour? Yeah. You don't
I'm
have
abstaining.
abstaining. Okay. That's carried. 26 Park Road, single story extension, conversion of loft.
Yeah, so this includes the conversion of loft, but there's no roof windows proposed on the front, there are on the back. The rear extension is proposing to be the width of the garden, so it's filling in the gap of the existing extension, so could have impact on the neighbouring property.
Councillor Plant.
So I think it's fairly in keeping with what's been done in there. It doesn't change the front facade, so it's not changing the street scene, so. Approve.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second. There's another one that's already gone that way on the street, so we can't really turn it down.
Change the PDR, they're gonna get it in.
So proposer and a seconder and the vote for approval. Favour. It's fine. Okay, agenda item number 7, objections and following. Don't think we've got any to follow here.
No,
Agenda item 8 on page 17, list of decision notices. Any comments, any of these? Agenda item number 9.
So this is the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act. What to do up an update for you. So I'll just go over the main points. If you want to come back on anything, just let me know. So the overarching objective of the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act of 2023 is to reduce the geographic disparities across the UK through changes to existing local government planning compulsory practice legislation. One of the main things was in terms of environmental regulations. The new legislation builds on targets set out by the Environment Act, and it changes the processes of the environmental impact assessment and strategic environment assessment, and these are replaced by environmental outcome reports. The consultation took place on this last year, and they're looking at the feedback. In terms of local supplementary plans, they propose to reduce the scope of local plans to be limited to locally specific matters, and issues that apply to more areas would be covered by a suite of national policies. So rather than have local plans, the policies that you would consider as part of planning applications would be nationally prescribed. Again, more information needs to come out on this, and there'll be a full public consultation on this on a later date. There was changes in terms of housing land supply, and these have been reflected within the new NPPF that came into force last year. Design codes, the bill intends to strengthen the role of National Model Design Code, and it would include the provision to require every local planning authority to produce a design code for its area, and that would cover the whole area. And then that would trickle down into locally specific design codes that could be produced by neighbourhood plans. Neighbourhood planning, the bill seeks to introduce neighbourhood priority statements. So where communities don't want to do a full neighbourhood plan, they would have the opportunity to do a simpler list of communities' key priorities and preferences for their area. There's a new levy that would replace the section 106 planning obligations in the SIL to make it more well, just to bring it in line with each other really. And again, more information needs to come out on that. There was an introduction of commencement notices, and this has come in that would require when a scheme with planning permission starts on a site. So as part of planning application, you would need to tell them when you intend to start developing the site. Street votes was another one, and this the bill included the powers to introduce this, which would allow residents on a street to bring forward proposals to extend or redevelop their properties, and we spoke about a response into the consultation on that. So again, they're considering those responses. There was some changes in terms of enforcement, looking at, there's currently you can take enforcement action, you can't take enforcement action after 4 years, and that could be extended to 10 years in all cases. And then you were interested in terms of council tax. Council tax premium on second homes can be introduced. I think that was from April this year, so you can put 100% on top of that.
Who decided that? So that'd be SODC.
That would be a SODC, yeah.
Be interested to know if they're going to do something about that.
Yeah, so we could look into that, but I think those are the main things that would affect us. Planning application fees be raised by 1/3. In terms of
Council tax.
yeah, just the council tax. I could say
They've come up with something recently though, haven't they, about registering short-term lets. There's something in the budget and there's something else about short-term lets.
they're looking into that, but that wasn't as part of the act.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Put up it.
is there any? Because there is, so maybe it's my perception, but the further south you get, the more space there is, the less people want to build, and a lot of this is about trying to get people to build and to regenerate, so to further into the areas that aren't generated. So there's almost like trying to find the balance between where does this affect us and where does it actually hinder us? Because if people want to build, there's support to build, and they're introducing more and more support to allow people to build rather than prevent building in the wrong areas. Is this going to give us more hassle? Is it trying to take anything away from neighbourhood planning? Is it going to give us less control?
Well, at the moment, it's just a very high level key things that they're looking at, and that more detail needs to come in, especially around the national policies. That would have a big impact in terms of the local plan and how much information the policies would be included within that, and what then we could look at in terms of neighbourhood planning. The government might have some insight.
It's entirely possible I've read the wrong document. I've been reading the document that lays out the proposed changes to permitted developments.
Oh, no,
That's
that's
the next one, yes.
Oh, hang on.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
let's move
Quite
swiftly on that.
So just before we move on, I read something that some councils are getting some kind of devolution deals with central government. Has anyone else noticed that? Has anyone else seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
There's been a devolution deal with the Surrey County Council. But I haven't been able to find any more information about it.
National?
Yeah, from central government, with central government, and they seem to be sort of like popping up all over the place, but I can't find the detail behind it. Because I thought, that sounds interesting, let's push Oxfordshire County Council to get away from government.
It could be as part of the Levelling Up Act. I just focused on in terms of planning.
Yeah,
It might be, because that's the point of that, is to reduce disparity.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you know, we all know about what's happened with cities, but I didn't know it was now with counties, what that is. But no, I'll try and look more into it for you and let you know.
They're going to have to provide a strategic plan to show that they have the money to do so. So it'll give
Oh,
them,
you're looking.
yes, it'll give them greater ability to deliver strategic level decisions. It'll be the first step towards giving local leaders more control and influence over the levels of local growth, but it's then subject to funding policy and delivery considerations at the next spending review. So it'll be 25-26.
So if you devolve
And
and
then-
say, we're not going to build anything, they're not going to be very helpful. That's not going to take much funding.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to set up a Surrey local enterprise partnership. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do agenda item number 10?
Oh, Gavin's well versed on this one.
Gavin is one versed. Julie?
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot to this.
Yeah, that's
Um,
been, yeah.
How you want me to approach it is, I'll tell you the main points.
Yeah.
And then we can go
Yeah.
from there. So, one of the main things is, changes to permitted development rights, which would enable householders to improve and enlarge their homes. And there's quite a lot around that in terms of allowing larger rear extensions, allowing extensions to cover more of the overall curtilage, allowing two-story extensions to be higher than the existing part of the roof if they can't be seen from the street. Asking if materials need to be similar in appearance to the existing dwelling. Allowing for single-story wraparound extensions to be allowed. There's a lot of changes proposed as part of the householder. Allowing larger roof spaces to be created in terms of loft conversions. Allowing the ridge height to be higher than the original roof by 30 centimetres. Allowing all these changes to be made to flats. Permitting, this is interesting, permitting bin and bike stores in front gardens. So at the moment, you can't put buildings at the front of the property without needing permission. Asking if that should also be permitted in the conservation area.
What an ugly set of streets we're gonna end up with. That's all I can say. What an ugly load of streets we're gonna end up with.
Probably worth talking about that first, and then moving on to the next.
What the bins?
No, the householder.
Yeah.
Proposals in terms of permitted development.
And is this for us to give a response?
Yeah, it's a consultation for the government.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
that's it, yeah. It's my fault, literally every one of them.
Every one of them.
Yeah, because
Every-
the ridiculous thing, pretty much every one of them, because in a town, there'll be plenty of towns where it might be possible, Didcot maybe. But like Henley, like we're already getting to the state where like density per hex there, like the streets are all, they've got a certain character, a certain scene, just like we were chatting about with Dame and bits like that. And like, we're not saying no to householders developing their houses. We're just limiting how much they can do without actually asking. So if they come forward with a reasonable application that's an L-shaped wraparound with a dormer that extends all the way to the edge of the roof line and a 15 centimetre protrusion on the front and a bike bin in the front, and it looks great, I'm going to say yes. But I don't believe in just going, yes, agree to these. Their parameters are only matter. Well, okay, so like a meter here and a meter there and that L-shaped wraparound, so that's something we might agree to it anyway. But my answer to literally every one of them was no, because it would be on a case-by-case basis where the aesthetic of Henley is so specific. And I'm not saying other towns are ugly, but like we live in a pretty special town, only 12,500 residents. And if every house was to do this, we're going to double, you got like 40-50% footprint on every single home. Like our amenity space would go. There was one that they could build all the way out to the back garden as long as the land opposite wasn't adjacent, wasn't residential. It was like, no way. And that means houses that back onto some of the parks would have no amenity space at all. So it's just no.
So this is just going to have consultation. Are there any checks and balances what they're proposing? Because you look at something like section 4, and we could say we wanted to maintain a certain style. Is there anything that's being proposed that we could actually sort of say, we do not want this to apply to a particular area, but it's okay to apply to another area, or could it be zoned?
Well, they're asking if it should apply everywhere or if it shouldn't apply in a conservation area in AOD. They do ask that
It
question.
does say that those bits would be taken into special consideration,
Yeah.
especially in AOD, but I don't think that's enough. And I think it's one of those things I'm sure Sheridan can get on the Clark's network and make sure that other parishes of a similar position are saying the same things, but no, we don't want it. Yeah, there's not be one of those. There is.
It is.
They go for like, burritos and lunches together.
Councillor Jackson.
Well, my reading of it was a sort of sequential event. The more I read it, the more I disliked it. The beginning parts seemed fine to me, but when we get to the end and we're talking about knocking down buildings of a certain age and then extending that age into the future and into the past and extending the footprint, I'm just thinking that's a total lack of control. So it was more a case of, as we were getting through the document, it was starting to feel really uncomfortable. It needs controlling. At the beginning part, it felt like if permitted development is moving that way anyway, we would grant them permission. It would come to us and we would give them it.
It's SODC.
Yeah, but that's if they come to plan, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But if it becomes PDR, we wouldn't have a choice, even in the situations where it's bad.
It was more about, so if there's a mood of change to open up permitted development, there is a mood of change to accept it if it was an application anyway.
Yeah.
So why lose control, be more acceptable in the planning process? Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
But there were lots in it that I just thought that's, we just can't have bin stores in conservation areas
Five stories, okay.
and wherever you stand on sort of electric vehicles, having no limit as to where they are in relation to the boundary and things like that, just doesn't seem to make sense.
It all looks a bit rushed to me, and I just don't know why. What's the reason or reasons behind all of this?
Yes.
But
Or they think.
but they're turning us off, not turning us on. Aren't they?
Okay.
They're putting us off.
Yeah.
They're not.
I think developers have been pressuring government for a long time to ease the restrictions on planning.
There's
And
lots of this in for
that's what they're trying
development,
to
lots
do.
in there
They're
for,
trying to go, well, okay, we'll try and push it through, that some councils might be accepting of it.
It's,
Go
yeah,
great, and then small developers, housing developers, infill
it's
developers.
an absolute myth that planning is the blocker here. Planning is not about something like over 90% of planning applications get approved. And I mean, that's the way it should be. But all of the developers are actually sitting on top of all of these, and there's now actually a competition investigation into all of these big house builders because they've been sitting on land and price fixing. So, it's a huge myth that planning is the problem. It's just not.
I want to,
We want fire and capital.
I just would like to flag up that last week's RBKC planning meeting refused every application.
Which one?
Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea refused everything that came in.
Well,
front of them that day.
they've got a heck of a job to do
Yeah.
there.
It's hard,
I mean, it is.
but I'm finding almost every application gets knocked back in some way, whether it doesn't go through
They
validation.
still go through super basements. The super
No,
basement
that
phase.
ended a long time ago, but
We digress.
if you want any
What are
kind
we
of
up to
basement,
now?
what is they don't like? Well, they don't like anything really. Embodied carbon is the new thing. So if you want to substantially demolish, they're saying we need to see the full carbon life cycle of the building.
It's the back question as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper to just knock a really perfectly good building down instead of improving it, because that attracts 20% back.
They should be doing the chair.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
However, I was going to say, does Henley Town Council really care what's happening in Kensington?
No, it was just a comment to, it's not planning, it's probably.
I was just trying to speed things on.
As our response to that section means strong enough.
What do we do from here?
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
Copy and paste, pretty, so literally
Oh,
the
right.
no part for every single one of them. Or
Okay. Yeah, so there's,
it's an
consultation runs until the 9th of April.
It's
So if you have a chance to have another look at it and you have specific points, let me know. Otherwise, I'll do
It's
generic, no.
I think the PDR one is the most specific for us. If
Yeah.
it's a picture, and most of them.
The only one I thought was acceptable was the air source heat pump, because they've actually put the evidence behind it now.
Okay,
So that's,
and allow for 2 heat pumps and the volume limit to be more than 0.6.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a set of responses of the anything else that you want to go through on
So
the high solar ones.
So the householder one's got strong objection towards.
Yep.
The building upwards permitted development rights, strong objection to that.
Yep.
Demolition of certain buildings to rebuild homes, objection.
Just drop.
And then in terms of the recharging electrical vehicles, there was concerns about the impact on the highways because they could bring them closer to the highway. So I'll point that out. And then heat pumps, you have less of them.
Right, I think we're agreeing on that. Well,
Agree on that. Okay.
Wasn't there sorry.
Yep.
On the heat pump one, I think my reading of it, if somebody can help me see whether I've got this correct, they're increasing vigilance on the noise output, which as a byproduct allows them to have larger pumps because it has a lower speed. But the thing I read was they're opening up the numbers that you can have.
Yeah, to two.
Okay. So you're gonna have two larger, less noisy ones.
Detached
on the
homes
boundary,
and lots
yeah.
of flats.
It's the way that lots of houses already gone. Like, I think there's a house in Shippo that's 40 pumps on.
It needs planning permission, isn't it?
There is a point though that says there is a reason why there are planning committees to consider these. Just relaxing the laws just for ease of or the support of builders after downturn.
We agree with one of the sections.
Is there anything else?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, because that was a very detailed piece of information, cost a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
Agenda item number 11, progress called in. So we have bridge lights, I think, is being dealt with sometime in April and May, I think, councillor Arlott.
All right,
The bridge light, do you want to speak to this or,
the bridge lights.
well, any of the progress reports called in? No?
No.
Cool. Okay, bridge lights, Butterfield, Dimmer Gardens, we've looked at Dimmer Gardens, Eagle Road, Nat West, still under consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. Agenda item 12, progress report. Pedestrian.
Pedestrian crossings, I've had the design tenders back. Unfortunately, they don't all give the same information, so I need to go back to the tenders to give some more information to enable me to move forward with that.
Fantastic. Article 4 direction.
In terms of the local plan, we put forward a response to the latest consultation that we on the preferred option, so we'll just wait for the next consultation.
It's the autumn, isn't it?
Yeah. Should be, yeah.
That's a while away. And then the update to the shopfront design guide.
Yeah, haven't got one until next
No.
committee meeting.
That's fine. Then we can try and make it more available. If that's what one of the issues is that we've got for two of them plans today. Can we, when it is ready, we can get it out, just make it more public. Okay,